All right, we want to welcome everybody out to Let's Really Talk About It podcast, episode 2. Today, I want to introduce myself. I'm Sean John 82 on IG. You can follow me there, and I'm gonna pass it along to my castmates.
Yes, Zakeem Niatasa. Don't worry about me on IG. You'll figure that out later.
My guy, it's your boy Ray. You can follow me on IG, Big Play Ray 21.
All right, y'all. We're gonna start off today by saying our condolences to all the families that lost relatives in the Buffalo shooting in the grocery store over the weekend. Also, the elementary school shooting on yesterday in Texas. And just kind of chime in on it, man. It's like it's a crazy time that we living in. And, to be concerned to even, go in the grocery store not knowing what potentially can happen. Your kids going to school and your babies and, getting that crazy phone call, something that happened, on that level, and it's definitely not the first time we've heard about it in the United States, but, it's never, a easy time to deal with, in my opinion. So, I want to just kind of get Zach and Ray's opinion on, what y'all feel about, man, like the mental health of everybody, like dealing with this stuff right now, man.
I guess I'll start. Oof, it's an interesting one. And I like, I guess, to try to look at things from multiple perspectives. And first off, it always says hard. Like yesterday, I believe was a hard day for everybody. Just like making it through your daily task and trying to conduct your routine life. But hearing that news and just thinking about like what it would be like if you took your kids to school and had to get a call and show up there and they no longer with you. Like I can't fathom that. But I also think like as a society that we've gotten into this place where groupthink is just like the norm. Like nobody really steps outside of what the masses thinks and like really tries to assess situations. So like yesterday, everything happened, and from my perspective, I'm sitting back looking like everybody's ranting about gun reform, and what we got to do to change background checks, this, that, and the third. But I don't know if we're attacking it the right way. And I say that because it's like you can change as many laws as you want to, but I don't know how you change men's hearts. And it's like we could come up with as many laws about gun reform as we want to, but making it illegal isn't going to make it harder to get a gun. Like if you want to get a gun, you're gonna get a gun.
Yeah, that's facts.
So I just don't know how that's going to help us if we aren't changing people's hearts or minds about like how they approach things. Like people are losing humanity. The law isn't what's making this happen. Even if it was illegal, he would have got a gun. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you. I think that yesterday, I stayed off of social media. My internet was down anyway because they're doing like construction in my neighborhood, and truly the only thing I watched yesterday was the game. But so I didn't truly feel the impact of it. I heard of it, and I was so busy at work, right, that I didn't let it process. And I think today in the kitchen, the kids came home from school early, and everybody just in the wife, the kids, they're all in the living room, and I'm in the kitchen, making lunch, and they're watching CNN, right? And my wife had already told me that our oldest daughter on the way to school kind of like broke down behind it, and I hadn't even taken time to process it. So I haven't even taken time to talk to the kids about it, right? But we're sitting down watching it, and I'm truly just in the kitchen, like fighting back tears because I'm listening to these people that was like, "Damn, I just left my child at school after the award ceremony. So now I'm feeling guilt, right? My heart and so, it just everything goes out to those parents and those families, man, because I couldn't imagine, giving my kids a hug goodbye for the final time. Like, it's not supposed to happen this way, right? And I think that it's not about gun reform. I truly think it's about mental health, right? A person has to be truly sick to kill anybody, first of all, but to kill innocent people, kill kids. It's just sad. So I don't know, man. I don't know where we go from here, how it gets better, right? But it just makes me want to hold on to my kids a little tighter. And honestly, like, I don't own a gun, right? I don't own a gun, but now I have a fear
You
of
almost gotta,
not having one,
right.
Before I felt like I don't need one. I don't go to places where I need one. I don't put myself in those kind of situations. But now it seems like people find the least expecting people to take acts on. So,
Like you say, with your family, you gotta almost be like cautious to not, be a victim. Like I said, at the end of the day, you want to be caught with and without, because, like Zach said, with the gun reform or not, the folks who want to get their hands on them, they will. They ain't taking no like anybody's fair game. So
one of the reasons why I don't own a gun is because I've always been so cautious about being pulled over, because laws change, right? And if I didn't know that the law changed and I get pulled over, well, okay, so is the gun supposed to be in my glove box, in a container? Is it supposed to be on my seat, open? I don't know, right? Is it supposed to be? Because I have a carry and like conceal, can it be on my hip? I don't know, right? So if a cop pulls me over, and then now they're in fear and they're going to see a gun, now I'm in fear of losing my life. So to avoid all of that, any mishaps, I just don't own one. So I can never be, even when I am pulled over and I have to reach, I don't even reach no more. It's on my phone. Hey, my phone is right here, and I'm going to show you that, right? It's just a fear of it.
Nah, I do get it. I remember years ago, I told Sean the same thing. I've owned a gun for a while, but I told him, like, I never ride with my gun because I feel almost safer riding without it. If I get pulled over, it's more likely that something could happen if I have it. And I think a little bit before COVID, that all flipped, because I'm just watching everybody out here. Like, we were in here one time, I think it was a shootout across the street, sometime nearby, and I'm like, you can't go anywhere. And so now it's like to the point where I don't leave my house without one of them. I'll pick which one that day, but like it's coming with me. I'm in the grocery store. It's in my hip. It's under my hoodie. It's somewhere. Like, just because you don't know what's gonna happen. And at the end of the day, as long as the first step was making sure I got my carry license. But after that, is regardless of what the police say. Yeah, if I get pulled over, I'm going to have to move very cautiously. I'm going to have to let them know first things first. Before I get my license, I do have a weapon on me, but I have a concealed carry.
Yeah, as long as you let them know pretty much at that point, you know what I'm saying, and, you legal, you can have it, you're in a good situation, for the most part.
And I also just think, like, we're at the point with the way people are the mental health is, these people going crazy, is really a demonic spirit.
Right,
going around.
Right.
And it's like, 5 years ago, I could say, like, your biggest concern about carrying a gun was the police.
Yeah.
Now I'm at the point where, like, your biggest concern is making sure you get home safe. And the likelihood of running to the police is a lot slimmer than running into somebody else who doesn't value life.
Just had a bad day and just ready to take their anger out on you.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. I mean, just to,
I also feel like we're at the point where we have more sane people need to have guns. Someone like you who's sane not gonna flip out over anything. Like we're the people that have to have guns to stop some of this other stuff from happening.
Right.
Like there's plenty of situations, even in that grocery store, that first pop went off. If it was somebody else in there that had the same mind and saw him go for the next one, like that's when you really gotta like. There had to be somebody. There's nobody else in the grocery store that has not a security guard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So an individual at that point had
10
to
people
stop
got killed, like got hit. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean,
if a sane, like to Zach's point, if a sane person like yourself had a gun, maybe it would have been only 3 people or 4 people got hit because you could have, been that one pedestrian just, shopping with your family and, getting down, but you realize like you got it on you and,
So I think, I think that although we're saying, right? We're saying we have a gun on us. We see a white man walking into a store, whether he is assaulting a person or not, but he's a white man. Let's just say that he's assaulting a black woman. We all saw that video, right? And it was a black man in the store where he was confused whether or not he should help or not. Because if he helped, or if he had a gun, but he's protecting her, what happens? He wasn't at risk or like feeling like the white man was a threat to him. So why did you intervene in this, right? And so the same thing I would feel that if I saw somebody shooting and if I run towards it or whatever, I got my gun on me and I'm gonna try to stop it, right? But if I go into a place and shoot a person, then they'll say, so the question is, we have to think about it. We have to think about it because we're black. Are we going to be a hero or are we going to be charged?
I got you. But my rebuttal to that is that if you don't have a gun, you don't have the option to think.
Agreed.
You already know you got to go cower away somewhere.
Right. You got
my thing is this, that you have to give yourself the option to assist. If I'm in a situation like that, yeah, I'm going to have to sit back and think. Number one, I think what a lot of people misconstrue, if you don't shoot a lot of guns, you don't understand how hard it is to shoot. Every gun shoot different.
Agreed.
The kickback is different. So when you sitting there aiming, it ain't just pulling out and just popping. Like, you really got to like line that thing up really nice if you thinking you're going to hit him. So number one, when you pull out that gun, you got to understand if I shoot and miss, I'm the target now and I could be leaving. But you at least got to give yourself the option to assess that situation and say like, if he's assaulting one person and nobody else is in danger, maybe I had the time to sit back and think about when I'm going to step in. But if he kills somebody and he go to somebody else and he going to somebody else, at that point, I don't have anything else to think about. I gotta stop this situation, and I'm giving myself the option to do that. If I don't have a gun, then I'm running just like everybody else versus trying to figure out maybe how I can circle behind him and get a clean shot from the back without him knowing who you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as long as it's eyewitnesses, I feel like you got to try to intervene because there's going to be enough people telling the story about the truth about what happened.
Agreed.
What do y'all think pretty much is like causing so much like to Zach's point about it's kind of more than just mental illness. It's almost like it's like devil behavior. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are just all over the place. Where y'all think that's coming from? You think it's something dealing with the pandemic or just the times we living in?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know what it's coming from, man. Maybe our damn food. I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of weird things happening, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I think so. Let's start here. I think that people have too much access in YouTube, right? There's this little character. I forget what it's called, but anyway, it's a character that basically is for little kids, right? But is basically telling them to like do bad things. And so we basically had to tell, and it's on YouTube, and we had to tell our son like, hey, he's not your friend. He's not, but he looks like a little scary little character. I'm gonna try to find it. But it's crazy. And it's just the access that these kids have, the games they play, mental health, man. mental health. Let me try to find this.
Yeah, while he's trying to find that, I think that's a great question, but it's tough, and I'm really at the point where I don't know if some answers will some questions we'll never have an answer to, and that might be one of them. Because it's certain things that just will never make logical sense, like to fathom a 17, 18, however old this young guy was.
18, the guy at the elementary school.
Yeah.
The guy at the grocery store, I think he was 18 as well.
And so that's what's really like I'm trying to fathom, like kids killing kids. Like he was still a young man. Like so much of his life was ahead of him, and I don't know what he was going through or what he had
was
experienced.
bullied at school or something and picked on about his clothes, but he had just killed, I think, his grandmother, if I'm not mistaken.
Shot before, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like that to kill someone or shoot. I don't know if she passed, but
She didn't pass.
She didn't. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. But to even try to harm someone who I'm sure poured so much into his life, there was something going on upstairs to even be able to get to that point. To answer your question and try to get through it a little bit quicker, I think that we've allowed certain things in society to get out of control.
Say, you think we become too open-minded?
Yeah, I'm trying to say this.
I'm always saying that, man. People like, what's the limit? When everybody like keep an open mind, like, all right, that's cool. It sounds good, but what's the limit, man? Because it's just, bro, it's like you say, we have so many things going on. You don't even have the answer to, like, what caused it or what's the reasoning, because it's just crazy.
Exactly. And it's a slippery slope. We're trying to be so open-minded, not be judgmental. We've allowed things that are not necessarily cool to be deemed as cool. And it's, so nobody really has direction. Right. Because everybody's
all over the place.
Because everybody's so open-minded, there's no longer a defined line between right and wrong. It's like if you do something, you can rationalize why it was right. And somebody has to be like, you know what, I got to be open-minded, like,
or not judge
this
person or whatnot, because basically you don't want to be judged. Mm-hmm. I think I'll give my input on the question that I asked you guys. It's simply that, you know what I'm saying? We have to come back to having some type of structure and, standards versus just everybody on some, keep an open mind. It ain't my business, what them people do. I ain't got nothing to do with me until you're in that grocery store or your kid is at the elementary school. Agreed. Being a victim. So we have to come back around to saying, like, that's wrong. Yeah. That's not right. Or, check on him. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's seeming weird or he's not being himself. It's okay to check on whether it's an 18-year-old or 28-year-old or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, people in our age group, like, check on, like, man, like Ray ain't seeming like yourself. Something going on upstairs. But people be like, nowadays, the open-minded thing is to kind of just be like, well, man, if he want to talk about it, he'll talk about it. Man, I ain't getting in that man business. I don't know what he got going on. Ask. You know what I'm saying? He may tell you, he may not tell you, but you asking may be something, de-escalating a potential, massacre. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't believe if somebody said, man, Ray, went in a grocery store and shot 10 people. But at the end of the day, I'm sure some of the people wouldn't have they wouldn't have thought the 18-year-old would have did the same thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just, we got to be more, not open-minded, but open to checking on each other and asking Agreed. Questions and going back to, like I say, them standards that we used to have back in the day.
I mean, that goes to, checking on people's mental health, period, right? Because we always, see when a person, like, kills themselves. And we're like, damn, wait, I just talked to, damn, I wouldn't have ever thought that this person would have done, but you never know what a person is dealing with until, like, you check on them. Till you truly, truly check on them with care and intent. Now, hey, man, how you doing? Shit, man, I'm fucked up, man. Right. and then you don't ever really like follow up on it. Hey man, really, what's going on? Man, I don't talk about it. And then you leave it there.
Right.
Then you wake up the next morning and find out that homie done jumped off the bridge. He's like, damn, man, I should have, right? Yeah. And I think that we need to stop living with that I should have moment.
I mean, let's be real, man. Our like family members, you know, the close relatives that was in our business the most on average, not, you know, the messy cousin or, you know, the next door neighbor, some stuff like that. Grandma, mom, a certain aunt, you know, maybe even, you know, uncle. They were nosy because they cared and they was worried about you and they was trying to keep tabs on basically your mental. You know, we ain't talk about mental health in the 80s and the 90s like that, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, what's going on? You all right? You know, that type of stuff was the equivalent of checking on your mental. Yeah. And that mattered because even though it might have been irritating or you felt like, you know, I'm all right, but you knew somebody was checking on you. And,
you would always know that if you needed something or you needed to talk about something, you can go to
a certain person,
or because this person always asks, "Hey, you always ask," or "Hey, you know, I'm just, you know."
They go answer the phone. They
gonna answer the phone.
Yeah, they gonna be available to see. You know,
hey Ray, how you doing today? Right. You all right? You don't sound like yourself. And then you can say, "Well, look, I'm messed up right now."
That alone meant a lot, man.
That's a lot.
That meant a lot, man.
We don't get that these days. Everybody wants to be the glamour. Let me say that, or like. They don't want to be like the auntie, or they want to be the cool auntie now, and they want to be in the club, which is twerking, trying to be young, you know, with you now. Like I ain't trying to say that you can't be older and twerk, but twerk with your girlfriends, but don't twerk with your nieces and like your nephews. Like,
so you still have to, you know, your place is still to the little kids.
Exactly,
you're their grandmother first. You're not just the cool person that's dancing. There, you know.
There you go. Like, it's all good to have a relationship with your younger kids, right? But I see people, even on my timeline on, like, Instagram, like, I can't believe, like, she walks around her son like that. And then her son is in high school, bro. Like, tits all out, like, you know, ass cheeks all out. I'm like, what are we doing?
She's keeping an open mind.
What are we doing? Like, what are you doing here? You know?
Keeping an open mind.
Nah, I hear y'all on all the points y'all just made. I just think it I spoke briefly about it earlier about us losing humanity, and I think it really just comes like what I was trying to describe is the fact that like we're in a space where we as humans, I think, are the mass majority of humans are losing the ability to see themselves in other humans. Mm-hmm. Like for you to be able to walk into some place like that and take people's lives, like you really can't see yourself in them, or even imagine like if I take this kid's life, like
say like at that point you didn't deem those people as human.
Yeah, exactly, like, and you don't have the same value for life. Like so, you got to be able to reflect and understand like what it would be like if somebody took your life. How would your parents feel? And we got to put ourselves in these, be able to relate and empathize and put ourselves in these positions. But that comes back down to a rule that I also think is highly forgotten, which is what they call the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. Like if, and it's cliche, but if we could do that, we could get back to that. I think we'd be in a much more beneficial situation.
It make you think twice before you hurt somebody because you wouldn't want to be hurt in that same capacity.
I mean, let's be real, man. These kids growing up is not the same. They're not the same, man. I mean, let's just call it what it is. In the summer, stop at a red light off of there on MLK. Well, them water boys gonna be on you. And gonna be very disrespectful with it. Right? Yeah. Very disrespectful with it. You know, as opposed to, you know, how we used to do back in the day, I know I did. I used to go door to door trying to sell chocolate or whatever.
World's finest chocolate.
Yeah. No, right? You know what I'm saying? And so, but kids just aren't brought up the same. And it's because, to me, we have those aunties and those grandmas that's trying to be your friend and that trying to be
we gotta
to guide you.
before we kind of like kind of get off this topic or whatnot, we got to kind of still bring it back around, not just to the grandmas and the aunties that's trying to be, extra cool. I mean, a lot of these kids missing, like to Zach's point, decent grown men in their lives. So, of course, we can definitely jump off into that topic, and that'll be a whole nother subject or whatnot. So, we play a part in it too. So, also, in the open-minded society, the society that I hate, we have to get back to having standards and structure. If you're, you bring your sons in to get their hair cut, and you go outside and they acting a fool, I'm gonna check them. Hey man, hey, sit down, man. I ain't gotta cuss at. I'm gonna do nothing. Hey man, sit down, man. Your dad wouldn't be cool with you doing it. Sit down, have a seat. A lot of people won't, check that, especially a lot of us as men, because we like, man, they ain't my children, they ain't my child, whatever. You want to mind your business. Nah, you can't. You have to say something. So that's why a lot of these little boys, these water boys and XYZ, they wild. Everybody.
Because, I agree. We own it. And we play the same role as the aunties and the moms that's trying to be cool. It be some like cool dads out there too that be doing all the other bad things with your kids and not trying to be a positive role model. So I'm not trying to put it just on them. I promise you I'm not. But we do play a major part in it.
Everybody, like I said, the grandmas, the cool dads, the uncles that's 48 trying to hang with the 28-year-olds, and like, come on, man. Like, everybody is levels, man, and we just gotta get back to that. It's okay having standards. Like, I'm 40. When stuff I did at 30, now if I do it now at 40, I mentally I feel like, man, I might feel a little foolish, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, people still do it and act like it's okay. Like, nah, I gotta, continue to elevate, man. Like I said, I can't still be living how I was living 10 years ago if I'm trying to, grow with time, man.
Agreed.
Nah, I hear y'all on that. I think my perspective is going to step on some toes. But as people say, I'm not judging anybody. I'm not coming for anybody. I feel like I've told Sean this before, and me and him have different situations. I still don't have children. Both of y'all do. I don't know what age y'all did. But when we talk about the kids and how they coming up, I think we got to be cognizant and aware of the fact that we're starting to get multiple generations in the kids having kids. And that first generation that age started to drop lower and lower, it's like when you got a 18-year-old with a 2-year-old, she might have had him at 16. Like, she's still figuring herself out completely. She don't understand anything. Yeah. And so what she's pouring into that 2-year-old is completely different than a 35-year-old if they had a 2-year-old. Yeah. Because of how established they are, what they've experienced, they'll be pouring a lot different into. So by the time that 2-year-old gets 18, if she has a 2-year-old at the same time, it's twofold what she's pouring into her child now too, because what her mom taught her and what she had experienced, like, she's pouring even more bad habits or whatever it is into that kid. Now we about to go into 3, and you know what I'm saying? And every generation it gets younger. Like, that first generation might have had kids at 16, people having babies at 14 now, and it's like, you just had your first period 2 years ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's also about exposure. I didn't learn about a condom until I was in my teenage years sometime. But at 6 years old, I didn't know what a condom was. It's 6-year-olds out here right now because of exposure and
access to the,
they
internet.
know what it is. So it's like, by the time you 9, 10, like, you already thinking about how to experience that. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like I said, it's deep, man. We can go on into the topic of, like I said, why these kids are the way they are, and once again, that all kind of ties into mental health as well. So, and the causes of it. But we'll, keep it moving and kind of hop on the next topic or whatnot.